Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. We're looking at Psalm 85, a psalm that we believe was written by one of the sons of Korah, who was probably writing after the captivity of Israel in Babylon. Now, it should have been no surprise to the nation of Israel that they went into captivity. The covenant of God in Leviticus chapter 26 and Deuteronomy chapter 28 through 30 told them, if you obey me, you live for me, I will bless you and make you a great nation. I'll protect you. I'll provide for you. God's blessings will be upon you. That was the terms of the covenant. But he said in the covenant, if you disobey me and go astray from me and follow after other gods, and I will have to chasten you. And he gets into very strong details of what would happen if they forsook the law of God and went their own way. So it should have been no surprise to the nation of Israel, especially after Isaiah the prophet prophesied and Jeremiah had prophesied that they ended up 70 years in captivity. Now, after the captivity, God again kept his promise. It's only going to be 70 years. Jeremiah wrote about that, and they would go back to the land. And most Bible scholars that do commentaries on Psalm 85 believe that that's when probably this psalm was written. The people had returned from the captivity. They had been God had protected them on their journey back in a special way, and they were back in the land. But being back in the land didn't mean that they would be back in their relationship and fellowship with God like they should. And so that's what we're going to look at in this psalm. And he reads, and it tells us in verse 1, first, he's very thankful for what God has done to bring them back from captivity. Lord, you have been favorable to your land. You have brought back the captivity of Jacob. You have forgiven the iniquity of your people. You have covered all their sin, Selah. You have taken away all your wrath. You have turned from the fierceness of your anger. And if you remember what took place when the Babylonians took over Jerusalem and tore down the temple and destroyed the people in the land and the terrible, terrible things that took place. Man, you can just see this psalmist writing this psalm, thanking God for how he had saved them now and brought them back to the land. It had been a terrible, terrible time. And my friend, that's just like you and me. When we're away from God and God has to chasten us and punish us, he says he will. Every son whom he receives, he chastens. Hebrews chapter 12. And actually, it's not a sign that God is really like so-called mad at you and he doesn't want you or doesn't like you. It's like the prodigal son. He waits for you to come back to him. He longs for you to come back to him. And so when you do, you need to be thankful. He restores. He covers our sin. And I love that he calls the nation, you brought back the captivity of Jacob. Jacob is, I always think God is the God of Jacob. And God is the God of Jacob. And you study the history and story of Jacob in the Bible. His name even means deceiver, conniver. And you read his story. If God can be the God of Jacob, he can be my God. He can be your God. And he will restore. Now, that's why now he asks in a prayer, restore us, O God of our salvation, and cause your anger toward us to cease. Will you be angry with us forever? Will you prolong your anger to all generations? Will you not revive us again that your people may rejoice in you? Show us your mercy, Lord, and grant us your salvation. So back in the land, the psalmist is saying, oh God, we need you now. Maybe he remember Ezekiel and the dry bones, and when he saw the vision of the dry bones coming back to life, and now the psalmist is crying out, oh God, revive us, restore us, give us back that life that only comes from the Spirit of the living God. And that's what he desired, and that's what we should desire as we seek the Lord even today. God can revive us again and bring us back to that place of fellowship. Well, God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.